Hi guys, in this lesson I'm gonna go over how you can play a standard with just two different types of Drop2 voicings. So the principle in this lesson is really simple, because if we take this E minor 7 voicing, Drop2 voicing, then of course that's an E minor 7, but if we play a C in the bass, like this, then we get a C major 7 with a 9. If we put an A in the bass, we have an A7 sus4, and if I relate it to a G bass note, like this, then we get a G6. So in that way, with this one voicing, we can cover 4 different types of chords. And that's of course really useful, because then we don't need to learn so many voicings. So now we have already covered 4 chords, and if we do the same with this B minor 7 flat 5 voicing, so we have a B minor 7 flat 5, you probably already know this one, which is a G7 with a 9. If I put a D in the bass, I have a D minor 6, and if I do use a C sharp bass note, then we have a C sharp flat 9 flat 13, so a C sharp 7 altered. So with these two voicings we can actually cover most chords. We have major 7 chords, minor 7 flat 5, different kinds of dominants, tonic minor. So that's a pretty wide range of chords that we can play with just these two types of voicings, using of course different keys and different inversions to make it all connect. Just to go over how you would do this, I'm going to keep it simple in this lesson. So I'm just going to use these two types of voicings, and then I'm also only going to use the top string set. Of course you can do all string sets, and if you want to look a little bit further into this, you can check out some of the lessons that I already made on Drop2 voicings, because you're going to get a lot more options from that. But right now we're just going to try and keep it simple. And the E minor 7, if I play the inversions on the top string set, that will be this. And for the B minor 7 flat 5, so what you need to take away from the first example is of course the relationship between the minor 7 or the minor 7 flat 5 voicing and the root of the chord that you want to play, so that you realize that if you want to play a G7, then you need to play a B minor 7 flat 5, so a minor 7 flat 5 from the third of the chord. The same goes for if you want to play a C major 7 with a 9, you want to play the minor 7 voicing from the third of the C major. And these kind of relationships, I'm not going to go over it in detail. It's something that's important to check out anyway, and you kind of need to figure it out yourself to use this anyway, because if you use it too mechanically, it's probably not going to work when you try to make music with it. So this is sort of the homework that you need to cover a little bit by yourself, and for the rest you can actually get away with using these things that are voicings you already have in your fingers, so you don't really need to do much work to learn them, but you do need to sort of hear them with a different root and use them in a context. So to start doing that, the first thing we're going to do is just to take a turnaround, the key of C, and then harmonize that. So that's a turnaround. This is quite simple. So we're using the E minor 7 voicing for the C major. Then we get an A7 altered. And the idea here is that you find a voicing for the altered dominant by finding a minor 7 flat 5 from the 7th of the chord. So this is a G half diminished, or G minor 7 flat 5. The D minor 7 is pretty straightforward. And the G7 altered, so the 7th of G7 is an F, so this is an F half diminished voicing. And then we're back to the C major. Just to cover this in another example, let's take a minor 2-5-1. So this cadence is 2-5-1 in the key of D minor, and that would be this. So the E minor minor 7 flat 5 is of course just an E minor 7 flat 5 or G minor 6 voicing. A7 altered, again A7 altered is found by taking the 7th of A7, so that's a G, and then playing a half diminished from there. And then the G minor 6 is a B half diminished voicing, so that means that you take a half diminished or a minor 7 flat 5 voicing from the 6th of the chord. So the way you want to start working on this is probably just to take simple progressions like I just did, like a turnaround or like a 2-5-1, and then try to apply this. So try to go through all the positions and just get used to hearing it. So maybe just first play it in the way that you can normally hear it. So if you're playing a 2-5-1 in the key of C, and then try to make that into the Drop2 voicing using this, so a D minor and then an F half diminished voicing and then an E minor voicing, and try to see if you can relate that to, you can hear that actually that's kind of the same thing. To show how you can use this in a context, I've written out a chorus on Solar so that you can still see that you can make melodies with the top notes, and also just to give some more demonstrations of how you can harmonize different cadences and progressions using this principle. The first two bars of Solar are tonic minor, so that's harmonized with a C minor 6 in this case, or an A half diminished voicing. So for the first bar, this voicing, which is fairly standard A half diminished, and then for the second bar I move up an inversion, so this one. This tonic minor sound that you normally use here is probably a minor major. That's kind of what the melody implies, but we don't really have one in this system, so I'm using a minor 6 voicing. And this actually goes for most tonic chords, also for the major variation, that you can pretty much choose between 6 or a major 7, sort of depending on what you feel like. It's very often going to be okay with whatever's happening in the melody. At most you need to be a little bit careful with having a major 7 and then the root in the melody. The next thing that happens is a G minor 7, so that's this one. And then the C7, and here I chose to use a C7 altered in this example just to also use some altered dominance. And there we're using this B flat half diminished, the B flat minor 7 flat 5 voicing. That you find that by, of course, taking the 7th of C, so that's a B flat, and then playing the half diminished or minor 7 flat 5 voicing there. For the F major 7, for the first bar I'm using this A minor 7 voicing, so the 3rd of F major 7, and then for the second bar I'm using an F6, so the F6 is a D minor voicing, so there you have to sort of think of it as going down a minor 3rd from the F to find a minor 7 voicing. That's going to give you this F6 sound. Then we get F minor 7, that's quite straightforward. The B flat 7 is taking the 3rd of B flat 7, so that's a D, and playing a half diminished. And the 3rd of E flat major 7 is a G, so that's this G minor 7 that's playing giving us an E flat major 7 with a 9. E flat minor 7, and then using a C half diminished we get an A flat 7 with a 9. Using an F minor 7 we can play a D flat major 7 with a 9, and then I'm moving up here to play a D half diminished, and then a G7 altered that I'm playing here, and again the G7 altered is being played using an half diminished voicing from the 7th, so that's an F half diminished voicing, and that would then resolve back to the first C minor voicing. So that was a chorus of Solar using this idea of just using 2 different kind of Drop2 voicings to play the harmony. You probably need to, as I mentioned, try this on just some cadences and some turnarounds in different keys and with alto dominance, on alto dominance and sus sounds and stuff like that, just to get used to it, and then maybe just try and figure it out for like simple songs like Solar or How High the Moon, or I don't know, there are a lot of fairly simple standards you can take it through, and then gradually you'll get used to just using these voicings and really thinking of them as the chords that they're playing, because you can't really use them if you're thinking A minor 7 when you're using this to play an F major 7 voicing. You do really have to sort of think and hear it related to the root. I think that's the only way to really get into your playing and being able to use it in a musical way. If you have to make sort of several steps while playing it, you probably don't have time to really concentrate on making music anyway. So I think that's quite essential. If you want to check out more stuff on Drop2 voicings, then I'll link to a playlist with some of the Drop2 voicing lessons that I've already made in the description of this video. If you want to see how you can use this on a standard in a more extensive way, then I'm also linking to one of the lessons that I have in my web store on Drop2 voicings, which is about using it on All Things You Are, and just going over a basic way to do it, but also showing how you can make more complicated top note melodies and adding some chromatic chords and stuff like that. If you want to download a PDF of the examples from this lesson, then you can go to my website, and in the article that is accompanying this lesson, there's a PDF download. On my website you can also subscribe to my newsletter if you want to stay up to date with where I'm playing, or if I'm recording or releasing new lessons in my web store and stuff like that. If this is the first time you see one of my lessons, then you can of course subscribe to my channel. I publish a new video lesson every Thursday, and I've been doing it for quite some time, so I already have quite a lot of lessons on my channel covering all sorts of subjects with jazz guitar, so there's a lot of stuff to check out. If you have any comments, you can leave a comment here on the video, but you can of course also connect with me on Facebook or Twitter or Google Plus or Instagram and let me know there. It's nice to get some feedback from you guys in terms of what you want to hear lessons about, or if I should do something differently or explain something a bit more that is unclear in the lesson. So comments are of course welcome. That's about it for this week. Thank you for watching, and until next week.